Hi, I am Pratim Ranjan Bose, and you are watching Podcast with Pratim, presented by Iravati Research and Communication Center, or IRCC. I have with me Subhendu Moitra, founder director of Coeus Advisors. Subhendu is an investment banker and an old friend. We will discuss economy. Subhendu, Donald Trump's landslide win in the US election is expected to bring broad spectrum changes in global economy. Popular expectation is that US-China tariff war will intensify. The Ukraine-Russia conflict will subside or end. We are not sure about West Asia, but tremors should be felt there as well. While on a larger scale, Trump's return should go in India's favor, there are also apprehensions if he puts pressure on India to reduce tariffs. How do look at it? What are your expectations?
Actually, you're right that way, Pratim, that, especially Mr. Trump, he believes in making America great again, So he has to look for that's what his mandate to, look at the American economy, which everybody believes is in a bit of low at this moment. So it's expected that he will negotiate hard with everybody, including India, because India is a large player in this market, in the international market today, and is expected. It's very very fair. Also, we should also be looking for our own interest. Nobody looks for others' interest as such. But having said that, as you very rightly said at the start, that U.S. and China trade war, that's going to help India. So while I agree that there'll be hard negotiation from Mr. Trump's, group with India for the tariff cuts and other things, there will be a lot of other benefits, economic benefits, and also the war getting, coming down across the world. That is also going to benefit several Indian sectors. That is also a very important part of it. So I think we have to live with that, and that's very natural. And we should be ready for the negotiations and look for our own interest and also the mutual interest of all the countries together.
Okay. I think one way, the best part is that he will look at its own economy rather than lobbing
Absolutely.
bombs across the world. So that's a
Absolutely.
very welcome shift of American policy. You'll be busy with your own economy rather than interfering in our economies.
Not
Uh,
only that, also supporting certain particular activities which they used to believe sometimes is the American way of life, which doesn't always help other countries. So Mr. Trump is not interested in that. He's interested in everybody will run their country on their own, which is good for us. I believe that's good for any country as such in the world, instead of who are at least who believe that they can be self-dependent.
yeah, I fully agree. I mean, look at this democracy debate. You are using
Yeah.
weaponizing simply and coming and interfering into things which are out of your ambit and disturbing the stability. So that's a very serious problem that created.
Absolutely.
Uh, the second question is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP won the crucial assembly election in India's financial capital of Maharashtra. They also won Haryana for a third term before that. Both are major recoveries from the Lok Sabha results. The
Yes.
election is over in Kashmir, which has a lot of international connotation. Theoretically, that re-ensures political stability in India and strengthens Modi's grip. So, how do you expect this to translate into investment and growth? Investment is a crucial issue. Over to
Yeah,
you.
actually, after the Lok Sabha elections, there was some bit of uh, confusion that whether the policy continuity will continue the way it was happening during the last session of the Lok Sabha, and there was always apprehension that what will happen to this government, whether they will be able to take such strong decision, tough decisions, and with these assemblies strengthening the central government or the party in power in the central government, I think those will be settled to some extent, and there will be more confidence in the Indian economy. we can see also the share market moving and all. So those kind of things will happen. So there'll be investments from outside. There'll be more confidence in Indian economy that this government is going to again behave the same way it was behaving earlier. This like in the last 5 years till 2024, and I think outsiders, whatever apprehensions were there, that will be all settled. So that's good for Indian economy. And good part is that I think, though I'll very honestly say that even last couple of months there's no such thing which indicated there will be any weakness in the government. They have not done any much of compromise as such, but there was always an apprehension, especially for the outside investors. So those apprehensions have been settled, I believe, for the time being, at least for some time, till, because now the government is quite stable as such.
I think,
There was anyways, yeah, please.
yeah, you were telling something.
There was anyway stable, but now I think it's more stable, and outside apprehensions will be all taken care of, I believe, and investment flow will continue as it is earlier.
I think the apprehension part is partly created by Mr. Modi and his BJP, because they make winning such a habit that if they do a little less, then people take that as a kind of but so that way it is a reassurance that things are normal. And interestingly, if you notice, there is a style in which he operates. After winning the second election, 2019 election, immediately there came a number of political decisions, including the abrogation of Article 370 from Jammu and Kashmir. Right.
Right.
This time also, you see, Waqf bill has come up for discussion in this session. So he clears the political decisions in the first go, and then goes for other things, gives 5 years for things to settle down, and then goes for other things. That has kind of become a strategy. Subhendu, when will Reserve Bank of India cut interest rates? Now, this has been an issue even you and me debated on this platform, I think 7-8 months ago. Rates are too high and for too long. It is in the meantime, US reduced rates. It is not conducive for private capital expenditure. Let's be frank and clear. So rupee is depreciating. What is your take?
I think Reserve Bank doesn't have any other option than to cut this rate. I mean, they have to cut the rate for the time being. I think it's, as you very rightly said, very long. They have maintained a very high interest rate in our country because of the inflation or the apprehension of the inflation. Now, if inflation or whatever, there are various ways of controlling inflation. So rate is one of them. So you cannot always target rate and control the inflation. You have to look for the supply side kind of things also. That's very important. So I believe, as you have seen, that as a US economy, they have cut the interest rate. A lot of money has gone out of the country. Our foreign currency, FII's investment has come down. Investment in the country has come down. Our rupee has actually depreciated, and RBI has to use several billions of dollars to stable to some extent. So I think they also understand. This interest rate has to be cut at this moment. Now, how much they will cut? Whether they will immediately cut 25 or 50, I don't think so. They'll cut in steps. Normally, that's what they do. But they will cut for sure in a very short run, I believe.
I think even a token cut, any token cut will send a very positive signal to the market.
Absolutely.
And I think I find a lot of logic in government's argument. Basic argument is on food inflation. And because the other core inflation is controlled.
Not much.
Yeah,
Not much.
it is a food inflation. And in food, if we look at it, it is a food, the index is very much, the weightage is very high on tomato, onion, potato, etc. Right. So I find a lot of logic in government's argument. See, because of changing consumption habits, there are a lot of things happening. The economy is not standstill as it was 20 years ago. So I find a lot of logic in government's argument that you treat these food inflation separately rather than this. So you also, I think,
absolutely, and not only that food inflation again. People say that this onion prices went up because of the Maharashtra election. There are a lot of politics into it. I mean, you have to handle it. There's no way you cannot, because Maharashtra agriculture is dependent on onion, and so they allowed export of onion for the time being because that was a requirement. But even overall, if you see our food, we are more or less, except the maybe the pulses, we manage our food very nicely. The pulses is the thing which we don't have too much control, or the oil seeds. These are the two
Pulses
areas.
and edible oils.
Edible oil seeds and all. Those are the things which we are not self-sufficient. Most of the other things we are self-sufficient. We can easily control that. And so that is the thing. I think we have to, as I said, that we have to handle the supply side. Not always, interest rate is not the only thing. And if you believe that actually the interest rate is not going to have much of this thing on these inflations, people are anyway going to buy this because of food items. Okay, so for the interest, you may not buy certain other thing. You may not buy a TV if you find that well interest, or you may defer buying a house. But then the food generally, whatever is the habit, people will buy anyway. So and we being now more than the developed nation, or developing nation on the higher side, or the other I will say that we are going to the uh, more per capita, we're much more, I would say, wealthier than which you were earlier. So people don't mind spending much about the food, even if the prices are a bit higher. So just because by interest rate you cannot manage that particular prices, I believe. So basically, we have to. Reserve Bank has to look into that part of it. That
Yeah, the
government is very.
Indian situation is far more complex than what you see on these national datas, because I think it has become a time when you have to go to look at much more granular data to check things. Because just a simple thing before we move on to the next topic, you look at consumption habits. The entire South, the West is very old population, right?
Yes,
They
right.
are about to hit the declining phase. So this
Mm.
population is definitely not consuming much. And
Yes,
it doesn't matter to them slight increase in prices, but there are this UP, Bihar, and etc. So
East
where
Bengal.
things are different. So I think we have to go much more, and also that with better parts of the country in south and west have as much their per capita is as good as any developed country. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
so their consumption habits have changed. So
Right. Right.
you cannot just put everyone in the same basket. Now the big thing, Shubhendu, what is the fallout of the recent indictment of Gautam Adani? His nephew Sagar and a host of senior executives, I think 11 of Adani Group, are indicted by the in a US court. Now, just for the viewers, I'm just giving a little background that the indictments are based on anti-bribery commitments made by the group while tapping the US bond market. The indictment followed Mr. Adani's $10 billion FDI promise to USA after Trump's landslide win and is subsequent to the Hindenburg allegations. So the timing of the indictment raises questions about politics of the Biden administration. Domestically, the states involved were not ruled by BJP during the period of inquiry. So I do not see prospect of a major political upheaval in India. But India's competitors may take advantage of the situation. Kenya cancelled a port contract with Adani. Bangladesh is ecstatic. Now, Shubhendu, how do you look at the evolving situation? What lessons Indian businesses should learn from this episode? The barrage of attacks against Adani. I'm putting the word attack consciously. And how should the nation insulate itself from such attacks? Over to you.
Yeah, actually, I'm not going to the allegations because these are the allegations at this moment. So we don't know exactly. Allegations are not till they're proven. We can't comment on that. But you have to see that it's a very normal phenomena that when a country comes up, so there will be powers will try to push them down, and that's very very bit. We have seen when Vedanta was trying to have that aluminium factory in Odisha. So how there was a backlash from international powers, and also locally it was also there. So it happens because India has a, for example, in that case, India has a very rich bauxite, the reserves, and so we should be leading the world. So there will be others who are leading the world at this moment. They felt threatened by that. So that is what. Similarly, at
Just
last couple of
interjecting,
years.
just interjecting. There was the only difference is at that time the nation had let down Vedanta.
Yes, I mean we didn't support them as such.
Hmm.
So basically we allowed things to move the way maybe the powers wanted. So here you see last couple of years, Adani's has almost rightly or wrongly become equated with the Indian growth. So Indian growth story is as if Adani's growth story world over. I'm saying not within the India, or over world over. That's what that said. Wherever because they are in the infrastructure, India is doing so good in infrastructure. So wherever there other countries are trying to develop in the whether Africa or Bangladesh, they look for Adani with the support, because they are in all sides of the infrastructure, whether it's a airport, it's a port, it's a power, everywhere. And any country who is underdeveloped, they have to develop, they need infrastructure development. Now, see, when you have that, there is always a risk. There may be backlash from various powers on that. So, first of all, any company, such kind of company should, you are asking for the learning, should be always ready for such kind of things, and have their PR agencies, international, national, those kind of things there. Another thing I would tell, that there is an advantage of doing more of a corporate governance and professionalization. For example, here, because Mr. Adani and his family are deeply involved in the business, it's easier. If you hit the company, it is actually hit them directly, and there's no other upper level to protect that. Now think about a situation where, suppose, all the names would have been professionals, other CEOs, CFOs, directors, who are not the family members. It would have been much easier to handle. So it gives an example that whenever we are growing too big, any company, any conglomerate, they should professionalize more, so that there is always an insulation of the shareholders or the main promoters from such kind of allegation directly. In as and when somebody hits it, it will be better managed. That the corporate governance, the risk management, those things much better will be there. So there's a learning on that part of it. And at the same time, I also believe that we need to have more such conglomerates from our country. Then if you hit one, it's they know you have to hit 10. It's not easy to hit 10, but now they know if you hit one, you can hit the country as such, as if they're symbolizing the India as a whole, or India's development as a whole. So that is why I think we need to have more such large conglomerates who should be operating across the world. So this is the other learning for us as a nation. So these are the few learnings which I can think of from this. I'm not going to the allegations, because allegations are, as I said, is a very it's simply allegations. You don't know, and it's a long way. They have to prove it, and whatever they are saying, and all. But these are the learnings we need to take it very lightly as such, I would say.
I think you have a point on both. Yes, there has been such things. It is not the first time that some charges have come up against such company. These that this has happened. This is common in business world. But what is uncommon here is that Mr. Adani and his family is being personally targeted, or they are getting trapped into this. So that is surely, and you are right that they should have been ready for such attacks.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
both time, whether it is Hindenburg or this time, we saw kind of unpreparedness. In Hindenburg, they were completely unprepared, which is archived in their responses, initial responses, right?
Yes,
And so this is an area. And secondly, it is very interesting. We saw a couple of groups taking interest in infrastructure in the decade before. Tata was one of them. They were putting up ports. They're still putting up another port. Then there was L&T, right?
yes,
I believe there were a couple of other companies as well. Yes, the liquidity crisis that followed and the banking trouble, the NPA issues, bad debt pile up, etc., has affected the sector pretty badly. and L&T wound up a lot of activities in this space, infrastructure space. So that way we see kind of a problem here that we don't have big corporates, big groups with deep pockets in playing in this space, and one space is left. And see, impacting Adani means you are impacting India's IMAC and many other projects. So it is quite disturbing for India, can be, I believe.
As you have very rightly named two names. Now government should encourage it. Why? They have become a bit risk averse. They were there in this business. They are working across the world. It's not that they're not working, especially the, you say, L&T or even Shapurji. Their companies as a contractor, they are working everywhere. Because there are certain expertise they only have in the world, and they're doing very well. But somehow they are not going to development, or they're coming out of the development project developer model. They're going more into contract model. So this is the part where I think government need to create, or rather encourage them to be, in this business, so that they can use the number of such companies in addition to Adani, so that, for us, for outsiders, hitting India through one company or one promoter would have been very, very difficult. You have to hit several, and some of them have very good reputation, and because those are the old companies, this Adani is coming up new, and one thing is that he's growing very fast, so it's easier to hit him as such. So I think these are the learnings for the nation, that we need to have more such large conglomerates working across the world, and they should be encouraged, not only working in the country for development of the infrastructure, but for the other countries also.
Yeah, you have very valid point on this development that they are not getting into and I think the taste in the area started from the debacle that the infra space were into at the end during MPA 2.
Yes, especially in infrastructure, they all suffered.
Yeah.
Infrastructure developing, they all suffered, because that time, because whatever reasons, the authorities, or concessioning authorities, were very slow in solving the issues. Now things have settled down, but by the time the kind of hit they have got, so they decided that time that they will not be in this business, and they will be only in contract. So I think we should again ask them or encourage them to enter infrastructure business, because we have a large country, so we need several conglomerates like and those things can be can again be our ambassador outside the country. And as you know, in the current world, infrastructure development and politics, or the or defense, everything is linked. So we need to have our own people across the world.
Infrastructure is actually very strategic in nature. A lot of civil
Absolutely.
infrastructure serve the dual purpose. So,
We see how China uses it. In fact, if you see that, the BRI, if you India's way of BRI was Adani, maybe we should use more such companies to counter China's BRI, and otherwise we're going to hit again directly by one of the companies, by certain powers. We don't know which are the powers, but there is a chance always that people are looking and trying to hit somebody, so that it hits our
no, that you
only.
are getting hit indicates that you have grown. If you were
Yes,
insignificant, no one would have bothered about you.
absolutely,
They would have
absolutely,
crushed you. Secondly, is
absolutely.
that obviously when you are going out, it is in the last 10 years only we have started going out. We have started venturing, I'm talking infrastructure into Myanmar, Yangon terminal, which Adani, I think, had got out of it due to this whole issue that came out after the coup. Then India went, that is, of course, a state activity. India went and took the operational rights of Chabar port. Adani went and acquired the Haifa port. Adani is also going to Colombo, right? So we are finally. You are very right, and there are a lot of ways. If we see the infra making, then we have started matching the Chinese footsteps.
Right,
But
exactly.
but
So,
but
so strategically, we should be careful. We should be always be ready for such kind of things, and we should have
because we are a
several.
democracy, our books are open. Chinese companies are not showing their books.
Exactly, right.
So, and I think
And they
also
are not going, and they are not going and taking raising money in US.
So
those Chinese companies.
this is how do you see? I mean, should we be careful about raising money in
No,
the
we
US?
should, we should, we should. You know, we're an open economy. We're a developed economy. Why should we go to US? But we should take all the checks and balances. As I said, corporatization, risk management, proper PR. Those are the things also we should do. Just shall not go and raise money. And the way we handle our local business, we should not be trying to do the business like that. We should business more of an international conglomerate way. You know, that's what I would say.
Yeah, yeah, both you and me have been tracking business in different perspectives for pretty long decades. And we see how things, we know how things happen. There are no saints, there are over here. Okay, let's not get into the judgment, moral judgments,
Yeah.
and let's not get into that. It's a cutthroat world. But it is only about managing your affairs that matters. How? And I think also there is one thing that is in favor of Mr. Adani and his group, their ability to take quick decisions. Is
Yeah,
something.
that's the advantage of being a promoter driven company. You know, the advantage disadvantage. Why it's a promoter driven company? It decides very fast. But at the same time, disadvantage is you can directly hit the promoter. If somebody wants to hit the company, you can directly hit the promoter, and there's nobody else to save you. So whenever there's a professionals, you can hit the professionals, and there's a promoter, there's a
You have a smoke
shareholder.
screen around you.
Yeah, so here advantage is there that you decide fast, but at the same time this is a disadvantage. So we have to they have to balance also it as such, I would say.
Thank you so much, Subhendu.
Thank you, pleasure.